Charles Tatro, he's from Canada. He likes to exercise.
That's me.
You are an Ironman. Welcome to the running journey special edition. Oh, special. My brother just completed Ironman California. I think it's incredibly special. Today's episode is going to focus on that. I'm Rob Tatro. This is my brother Charlie. Just flew in from competing in Ironman California. Highly anticipated. I have not talked to Charlie since, because we kind of have a rule here. We try not to have a conversation before we record the episode, because otherwise then it's like, I'm really going to be finding out all this story for the first time. Charlie, first question. How do you feel? You just got back last night or what?
Yeah, just got back at 3 a.m. last night.
So this morning, some would argue.
Yeah. Yep. So how do I feel? I feel pretty good.
Yeah, you killed it. You crushed it. So congratulations on a phenomenal. I'll set the stage first. So Charlie, you've been training for this. I think you did what, a 18-week build or something? 16 week?
Something like that. Yeah.
Well, a full 4 months spent, long, painstaking hours on the bike, swimming, jogging or running, some would say. You trained, you did not do anything else you didn't do any A races, you didn't do Chicago, you didn't do Manitoba Marathon fast. I mean, you paced it, but this was your race. This was your A race in the 2024 calendar. You had set some goals. One of your goals was to break 10 hours. You beat that. 9 hours and 49 minutes was the time. I'll go through the results first, and then I want to take you through the race. But a cheater swim of 54 minutes and 42 seconds, a really fast T1 of 8 minutes and where's my transition? 8 minutes and 5 seconds, a absurdly fast bike of 4 hours and 55 minutes, 3 minutes and 57 seconds in transition 2, 3 minutes. That's crazy. And then a final marathon after doing all that in 3 hours in 47 minutes. Congrats on a great day, 9:49. So first off, how do you feel about meeting those goals? Has it sunk in?
Yeah, I don't know. I think so. Yeah, I feel well, I was expecting it. So, I mean, it's not like I wasn't expecting it. So, but yeah, it feels good to actually do it. So
it's one thing to say you could run a sub 3 or whatever, but it's another thing to go out and kill yourself for 10 hours.
Yeah. Yep. That's 10. That's pretty good. Well, I mean, it's not, Ironmans are different. Yes. I wouldn't say I killed myself for 10 hours, but the last couple hours were pretty hard.
Yeah. So I ended up had big plans for Sunday. I was going to go in and work on my PhD paper, and I was going to get a ton of work done. And I ended up spending 10 hours on my phone waiting for it to reload, just because I was watching the app. It's actually decent. It's the first time I followed someone on an Ironman, because last time you did it, I was doing it with you, so I didn't.
Yeah.
First time I'd followed Trav, and
Trav and Dwayne a bit. They did like Placid.
Yeah, right? I didn't follow it this close, but I did follow it. And then I had a chat with the parents going, and I had a chat with Simo going, and then Todd Friesen was going on Strava, and then I had a chat with Grains going, and I had a chat. The running group wanted to know how you're doing, and then some random people wanted to know how you're doing. So it was busy. It was hard for me, Charlie. It was hard for me. It was a tough day for me to keep up to your exploits out there. So what was going through your mind? So you said you knew you were gonna accomplish it. When we recorded last week, you said,
I'm not gonna say I knew I was gonna accomplish it, but I thought I was going to. Like, I went in there thinking I was gonna do it, but there's always, nothing's guaranteed, right? Like, I mean, always
on a scale of 0 to San Bernardino, knowing, on a scale of me at New York thinking I would break 3 hours to you at San Bernardino thinking you would break 3 hours, where were you on were you more confident than you were in San Bernardino or in LA at the LA
No,
Marathon?
I was less confident because because, well, triathlons are just, a lot of things can go wrong, right? Like, I don't know. So it's not like a marathon where you're training.
You know
Once
what
you're
to
trained,
expect.
you can do it, right? So that, and I had a cold. Um, Actually, it started Wednesday, got worse Thursday, Friday, and I was kind of actually down on Saturday, believe it or not. The day before, I was like a little bit. It's hard to imagine not, like, I was not pumped for this Ironman, which is weird, because I was like, oh man, am I going to be able to do it with this? It was very mild cold, but I was very not at that point. Didn't like. I actually didn't even think about what my time was going to be on Saturday. I was just like, okay, put that out of your head and just focus on like what you can do now. Like, I didn't even think about time on the Saturday, and it was like I was not pumped for it. And then I tried out my bike on Friday. I didn't tell you this story. So I tried out my
I
bike.
haven't heard any of the stories.
So I got there, tried out my bike, and I go, and as soon as I start pedaling hard, the chain starts skipping every time. Like, not like if I put like over 400 watts, like I had to pedal pretty hard, but like anytime I put like a lot of pressure, a lot of torque, the chain would like skip. So obviously there was something wrong with my chain through travel or whatever on my bike on Friday. So I was like, oh man, what do I do? Like, and then I felt like I did my practice bike on just to see if my bike worked on Friday. And I was like, man, it's not, my bike is slow. What's wrong with my bike? So that was another thing to stress about. So it was weird because I was not super pumped for the bike. Anyways, I went to see a mechanic on Saturday. I thought it got fixed.
Like a bike mechanic on site that you paid?
Yeah. I thought they fixed my bike. So I was okay, that's better. And then Saturday was a nice day. I just kind of checked my bike in, after my bike got fixed. I actually did the Ironman. What do you call that when
the walkthrough?
The summary? What do they call that? The mandatory briefing.
The briefing. Yeah.
That I never first time, second Ironman, first time I do the mandatory briefing. So that was good because there was some confusion in setting up the bags and stuff before. Like, people were giving me different information. So I was like, I was thinking about it. Anyways, the guy fixed my bike. I went to this mandatory briefing, and then I finally decided how I would want to set up my my stuff in transition. And I realized I'm better off going through the tent because then I can actually sit down to do my changes, and I think that's going to be faster. So I set up my.
You had choices as to where.
Yeah, that was weird. I had choices. The guys were like, "Oh, you could put your bag at your bike, or you could put it here." It was very confusing.
I've never seen that. I've only done 4, but I've never seen that.
Yeah. So, anyways, I put my bike bag right beside the tent, and I put my run bag at my bike. That was. I've never done that. Like, Texas was totally different, so I was very confused. But anyways, I did that. That worked out well.
Usually
and then
it's some sort of a corral where you have bike and run bags in the same corral. You pick it up on the way to your transition.
Yeah, exactly. That's usually how it goes. So that wasn't like this here. And then Cheryl and I went for a drive. I decided to go drive the bike course on Saturday.
The course, the Claude move, the Claude
drive
special.
The course. That was a Claude move. So I go, I drive it. It's not bad. Looks not too bad. And then there's this 4-kilometer section that you have to do 4 times. And it's like like it's pavement, but it's like crumbly pavement. And it's called Babel Slough Road.
I looked at Babel Slough Road.
And it's windy, it's curvy. And I'm like, I don't know if I'll be able to go fast on this. So I was, again, I was like, oh man, more doubts were creeping in. And then the road was the next 20 kilometers were nice, but then the last 5 kilometers, there's like a big turn, a bridge, and extremely narrow. Like, you wouldn't believe how narrow. Like, when I had my rental SUV. I had to have one wheel like over the yellow line, like didn't have to.
A European road.
It was very, very narrow. So confidence went down a little bit again there. But then I had like a 3-hour nap. And then we ate dinner. And then I went to bed right away. So that was like, and then I woke up and I felt like, oh, I felt like I wasn't sick all of a sudden. And then
What time did you have your nap?
right after a drive. So got back home at
5
like
p.m. Okay.
No, we got back home at like 2 p.m. And so I basically slept all day Saturday, which was nice.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't have wanted to do that if I didn't have a cold, but since I had a cold, I was like, okay, I need to. My dad phoned me. He's like, make sure you rest and don't run the day before. But I listened to part of that.
Claude.
Yeah.
And you were fresh off no sleep because the night that you left, that was Claude's retirement. We did a retirement party for our dad on the Wednesday night, and you left Thursday morning at like 5 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
And you were still in the hall at, I don't know, 11 or I don't know what time you left, midnight. It was late when you were still in the hall. So you didn't get much sleep that night.
Yeah.
So you were catching up. Your Garmin was probably mad at you.
Yeah, I didn't. It wasn't too mad, but like the resting heart rate was higher than usual. That's for sure. But those hours and hours of sleep on Saturday, so thankful to my wife and like just being able to do that, even though we're on vacation, and I just slept all day pretty much the Saturday.
Yeah, but the Ironman is kind of like nothing else matters that week for us, like for you, for anyone who's doing it. It's like, hey, you want to go to a show or something? I kind of want to like prepare my bags. I kind of want to lay out my.
We did go to a comedy show on Friday, so that was fun. Okay. But Saturday was for sleep, and then I woke up and I didn't feel so terrible. I woke up I woke up, went to put air in my tires, and they needed them. Checked to see if my brakes were good and everything. But I got there right at opening, 4:30 a.m. on Sunday. And I was like, okay, now I got plenty of time. So I went back to my Airbnb and I had a 45-minute nap.
Why did you go at 4:30? Oh,
I was like, it's complicated to get air in my tires because that disc wheel
you didn't have to do bike drop off on Saturday?
Yeah, I did bike drop off on Saturday. But
you went back to put in air.
Just to make sure my air pressure. Just to make sure, and my nutrition, put my nutrition on my bike and check my air pressure.
And then you're like, it's 4:45, 5 o'clock.
It went well. Everything went well. I put air, tire pressure was good. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, I got home at 5. Like, I probably just need to leave at 6. So I had like a 45-minute nap. Like, I can't believe I was able to do that. So I must have been
not a sleeper on race morning or race night. Like,
but it was almost like because I felt sick and kind of my expectations went down and down and down. Like, it was weird. I was able to sleep and I was super tired, I guess, still. So anyways, that half-hour nap again, or 45-minute nap on the morning of, crazy. I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, that's mind-blowing.
So anyways, I slept.
I remember being pissed off at you when we were sharing a room at one of our races somewhere. You were up at like 3 a.m. making coffee. And I was like, why is he up right now? Why can't he just sleep? We have a race at 7 or whatever.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. It's not like me. I think I was less excited for this because I had so many doubts. I had so many doubts before.
Why do you think I get that you were sick. Was there another element to the doubts? Was it that like the expectations were so high, so tough? Like you had set your own expectations.
That and my bike, I wasn't sure of my bike. Like so much of the bike depends on your bike being like set up.
Good. So much of the bike depends on the bike.
So much of the bike depends on the bike. Not as much as the shoes on the run, but
I get it. No, I get it. You're saying that you can output X many watts, but if the bike's not set up great, you're not going to go 35K an hour. You're going to go 32.
So I was worried about my bike, and then I was worried about my cold. And so, and there was a lot of pressure I felt because everyone
Everyone knew about this race.
Yeah. I was getting
Which
so
is
many.
good though. Like we
I was
told
getting so many messages, and yeah, so I felt a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and I mean, I wasn't laying low on the pressure for you. I'm putting it in chats that Charlie's
Yeah.
going to crush this, and I'm
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
it on the podcast. Charlie's going to break 10, and I thought about it after. I was like, oh, did I screw up by loading up the pressure on him? But then I thought he excels under pressure, so he's going to do fine. I knew it was okay for me to load up pressure on you because you were so ready and because you're so strong.
Honestly, had I not had that cold, I think I would have been way, 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 way more confident. I just wasn't sure how I'd be able to handle the cold. I think all that sleep I got on Saturday really helped, so I was okay. So anyways, I get to the starting line, immediately go for a pee, obviously.
Your third P of the day, fourth P of the day.
Yeah, and then
But the good thing about Ironman, for those that don't know, is it's less of a worry than it is for marathons and half marathons because you could piss yourself in the lake as many times as you want.
Well, okay, we'll get to that. So anyways, so then I get to the line and there's a sign that says 120 to 130. I'm like, that's pretty wide range. I'm planning to do, in my head, I was like, so you're supposed to seed yourself based on a regular swim, no curve.
Okay, let's explain seeding quick for people who don't know what seeding means real quick.
It's like what your expected swim time will be, right?
They have signs. They have signs
you
spread out.
You want to swim with people that are approximately your pace, okay?
Just like when I complained in Chicago that I was running with people that were way slower, I wasn't seated properly, and then you're passing people. You don't want to get passed, and you don't want to pass.
And swimming is kind of worse because you got to go hard to pass people. Right?
It's so much harder to pass people. It's not fun to get passed. So you really want to seed yourself properly.
So I saw that 120 to 30 sign, and I'm like, I'm probably would do about a 122 or something. You know, I did a 125 on my first Ironman in Texas, and I thought I'm a little bit better. I'm not going to go too hard, so 122 sounds reasonable. So I seated myself there, and just waiting and waiting and waiting.
Can I ask? This is probably your punchline, but I'm going to ask you anyways. Was seating expected to be at that race, or was seating expected to be at home?
It was supposed to be on a non-current swim, just a normal swim.
It said that? It was like normal.
They said it multiple times.
So seed yourself.
But some people may not have heard that.
Okay.
Or, you know. So anyways, so the moral of the story, I had to swim over a lot of people. Like it basically.
You see yourself at 120, 125, somewhere in there, which is what you thought you'd do.
Yeah.
But that ended up being the 2-hour swimmers because they ended up doing 125 on a cheater swim. The cheater swim is a half hour faster, 20, 25 minutes faster.
No. So I looked at the data and I had a really good swim. So I finished in the top 25% or close of all swimmers. And in Texas, I was above, like I wasn't in the top 50.
Okay, what would 25th percentile have been in Texas?
Like 113 or 112 or something like that.
Okay, so 20 minutes, not even.
So I think it would have been like a 115 for me, which would have been awesome for me. Like,
yeah.
So I was really I feel like I had a really, really good swim. And I think it was I kind of was just relaxed. It was so cold to start, 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So I just started swimming, but I kept just catching up. Like, I don't remember anyone passing me. And this is going to be basically the story of the entire Ironman here, but basically I just had to get through traffic the whole time. So because I was seated, I don't know, I guess I was misseated probably. I started like 45 minutes behind, like
50 some minutes, Charlie. 50 some
minutes.
Yeah,
I know, but like the guys in my group, everyone was like 30, 40 minutes ahead of me started, you know, so.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. Anyways, so I think I feel like I had a really great swim. And I didn't go too hard, but I was just nice and relaxed, and I just kept going. And in my head, it was like, imagine this is a 10-minute per mile jog. I don't know if that makes, like, I guess if you're a runner, that makes sense. But I was just imagining myself being on a 10-minute per mile jog. and just that kind of feeling, right?
Nice and easy. Just take it
Just
slow.
nice and easy and keep going, and it's not stress, it's whatever, right? You know.
So I just checked the top 8 in your age category. They all started between 7:09 and 7:14.
Yeah, they all started like 40 minutes before me.
Yeah,
which
at
to
least
me
40 to 45 minutes.
ended up costing me a lot of, not that much, but some, at least 5, maybe probably 5 minutes at least in total.
Yeah, because you finished in the sun and you could have been swimming in the cold.
No, just the traffic.
Oh, the traffic. Okay, the
getting
Chicago.
just getting through the traffic throughout the race, like not just so. Yeah, so swim is great. There's this turn where the current gets stronger, which everyone told me, make sure you take that turn way right. Make sure you take that turn way right. And I got to there, and somehow I was sighting lots, and somehow I drifted, and I had to go really hard to not go to the left of that buoy, because if you go to the left, you have to come back and swim up current to go back.
Oh, you can't miss it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I had to go really, that was the only hard portion of the swim. It went really hard for about a minute to do that turn. And the other thing is right there, it was like a big congested area because everyone was like getting pushed and having a hard time getting around that buoy. And I was still passing people like at that point. I was passing.
Would this have been roughly the halfway mark when the road? So I have the swim map up on the screen.
I would say it was a bit more than half.
At the Sacramento River, when you went from the American River to the Sacramento River, right?
Yeah. It looks about half. Yeah, so maybe it was about half. I think the current gets stronger once you hit that Sacramento River. So probably time-wise, it was a bit more than half. And then I just kept passing people, I was just passing people the whole time. And so the thing is, my experience with doing all these Olympics and all these really helped me here. Cause I think I was just like, instead of like just trying to keep, like, I would just take a look sometimes, just relax. Okay. Where can I swim where it's not going to be stressful? And I would just go around people and go through, like, you know, so I think that experience really helped me of racing lots this summer.
I need to ask you, did you enjoy the swim?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. Okay. It was nice that it was so cold, I think.
Yeah, because
at first it was like I was just like, okay, it's cold, but it'll pass. Like I knew it, like after 3, 4, 5 minutes that I'd warm myself up and I'd be fine, but it felt super cold at the beginning. Oh yeah, and so many people were getting like helped by the kayaks and stuff
because it was so cold.
Yeah.
And you were used to swimming. We swam in 62, 63 degrees when we were younger at the pool in Marchand and in the lake. 64, we definitely swam in 64, Charlie, 100 million%.
Yeah, I'm sure it happened once or twice. Yeah.
Not a lot, but we would do that from time to time. And like we do it kind of, our parents think we're crazy. But we for sure swam a ton in 66, 68, like a lot. 70s,
yeah, low 70s, but yeah.
So sure. You had an advantage. Plus, you're naturally more able to sustain cold than the Americans and the people from Sacramento, I would argue.
Yeah, I like the cold, I would say. Yeah, for sure. So then I finished my swim, and I guess it was
go ahead.
It was so congested when I finished my swim, because I guess because of the bell curve and where I started, there was so many people, and
you're right in the middle. I'm right in the middle.
Again, I wanted to run. Like I felt good. Like I wanted to run, you know, and I was just like weaving, like dodging people, walking, waiting for people to pass to get through transition. Right. So I get my wetsuit off, and I couldn't run because just people were walking up.
Did you use peelers or did you take it off yourself?
They had peelers there. Yeah. Okay. But honestly, like I could have ran. I felt great. I could have ran up that whole bridge, but I was just waiting for people. It was just people walking, right? So I couldn't.
For those of you that don't know, peelers are otherwise known as strippers.
Yeah.
They strip your wetsuit off and they pull it right off, and then they give it to you, and then you carry it with you. I want to ask you, before, when you were swimming, obviously you had 54 minutes of swim to think to yourself. Did you think, you know what? Maybe I will do that 12K swim this summer? Or were you thinking?
It may have crossed my mind. I'm like, this isn't so bad.
This isn't
no, I was like, no, you know what I was thinking? I was like, Imagine if this was a real swim and I had to swim another 20 minutes. That wouldn't be that bad. I was like, it wouldn't have been that bad.
Your heart rate said, your watch, I don't know if it's accurate,
Yeah,
said you
it
had a
wasn't accurate.
111 heart rate.
No,
Do you
I'd
think
say
that?
it was probably more like 140 or something. But
Yeah, okay. And the distance on your results said 5 kilometers. Obviously, that was a little off.
yeah, no, it was way off. I mean, I could have been going crooked, but I thought I was swimming really straight.
No, the
Actually,
Strava map looked pretty straight. Like your Strava map, if I compare it to the like your course, it looks pretty close.
I felt like I was pretty straight. The only thing at the end, I couldn't. All of a sudden, I couldn't see the buoys, so I was just following people in front of me. But the first part, I felt like I was swimming very straight.
Okay. So, anyways, it's congested. You get your stuff. You're like,
Yeah. I feel great at this point. And I had really pumped myself up about T1. I'm like, I knew T1 was a long run. Like T1 was about a half-mile run. Maybe not a half mile, but close to a half-mile run. And I knew, and I was like, people are going to be, this is where I can make up time if I just like focus on being hard, like just go hard in T1, right? But it was just too congested. But whenever I was able to run, I ran through all of T1, got to my bag, found my bag. Again, the tent was so congested, there were no seats. Finally, I found one. Did a pretty good change. Struggled a bit. Like I was just like, it struggled getting my shoes and my socks on, whatever. I mean, it wasn't too bad. I still did it pretty quickly. Ran to my bike, took my bike, ran all the way to the start. And again, congestion. I had to like run at 10 meters past the start line because there's just so many people. You didn't want to be in the way.
they were all mounting. They were all kind of mounting their bikes.
Yeah, there was like 20 people mounting at the exact same time I was, right? So you had to like be careful there. But overall, like that T1 was really good, I thought. I even put sunscreen on my neck. That was kind of a waste of time, but whatever. Then I started biking. Yeah, go ahead.
Debatable. I'm saying debatable because the sun does drain energy long term. So if you can reduce that drainage exposure, I don't know if it was wasted. 10 seconds for
Well, except I did such a terrible job at it. I don't know if it's saved
that maybe is not the great. Yeah, maybe you should have done a better job at it.
Yeah. I'm just throwing big white spots
on your face.
I didn't do any of my face because I wasn't too worried about my face, but yeah. So anyways, I started biking, and man, because of where I was, again, traffic. Like I was just passing. So I passed 146 people, 146 males in transition in terms of my ranking. And in like the first 14 miles, I passed another 100 people on the bike, right? Like it was just.
So in your age group, you were what was it, 60th or something like that after the swim?
59th, I think.
59th out of how many in total in your 260 something?
240 something, 248 or something.
So top quartile. And then you passed 21 people or 20 people in the first transition. 20 people in transition.
In T1, yeah.
I was looking at the transition times. So you did 8 minutes, which is way faster than the 22 minutes I did in Des Moines. But there were people doing 10, 12, 14, like a bunch of 11s, 13s. Like that's what people were doing. So the bell curve, right, in the swimming is way tighter, especially at this race than it would be so like 3 minutes is like 21 spots. It's crazy.
Yeah, 3 minutes. It was a lot easier to gain 3 minutes in T1 than to gain 3 minutes on the swim, I think.
Yeah, because you just have to be efficient, and you've done a lot of triathlons and a lot of races, so you were pretty efficient in T1.
Yeah.
So so you finish the transition 1, you mount the bike, you're on this bike, you're starting to get a little. So how does it start? Are you worried about it at first?
No, it's going well, except there's just so many people to pass. So no problems at first. I'm doing really well. I maybe because I haven't biked much outdoors in a while, like there's this kind of like slowly getting my comfort level up about going fast, right?
Because you don't want to fall and injure yourself.
Just because I haven't biked. There's a couple technical spots, right? I haven't biked in a while. So it's like I'm slowly getting my comfort level back, but that didn't take long. That took like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm like, you know what? I know how to bike. Not a problem, right? So then things are going really well, except for there's quite a few places where there's just too much traffic. I can't pass people. And basically I just wait, stop pedaling. There's this the Babel Slough section there. I was really worried about it, but as soon as I started, I'm like, you know what? This is not a problem for me. So I just crushed those sections.
Yeah, the Babel Slough was like mile 10 to 14, something like that.
It's 4 kilometers, I think 16 to 20 about.
Yeah. Well, it's this piece right here, right in the middle of the page here. Anyways,
I don't think it's that long. Yeah, it was only about 4 kilometers.
Okay, but it's before 16, mile 16. It might be kilometer 16 because it says mile.
Yeah, it's 10 to, let's say 16 to 20 kilometers.
Got it. I agree. Okay. Yeah, I checked it on the map and I was sending Simo photos.
Yeah,
because he's like, we were following closely, obviously, and your first splits were 30. What were they? 31 or 30 or 31 kilometers an hour for your first 2 splits. And we were like, I wonder if there's wind, or I wonder if he's having a hard time, or I wonder if there's too many. We had no idea what was going on. So then I looked.
I'm surprised it was that slow. Because, well, it's
possible they're not accurate too, right? Like,
yeah, no, I think that's not accurate. I was going faster than that.
But what was happening with your splits is everyone's splits, not just yours, because I was checking your competitors, and the first 2 were way slower. Then you'd have a fast one of like, so I'm thinking they just marked it as a longer path, and like,
I think it was slightly off. So,
the
wind was a factor. Once you got past Babel Slough, you had about 22 kilometers of really nice,
Jefferson Boulevard,
straight road, still narrow, so straight road. And I had kind of my first issue. Actually, I had issues with my chain throughout here, where every time I'd start pedaling hard, it would skip. So I thought the guy would have fixed it, but no, I had an issue right away after the second turn, because normally, like after a turn, I'll pedal a bit harder for a couple just to get back up to speed, right? But that wasn't working, so I had to.
Yeah, so if you want to just get up off your bike and hammer down a few strides to get going, to get some acceleration, it would skip.
It would skip. So I think that was probably
in any gear.
Yeah, it was in the same gear. Yeah, I know, all gears. Yeah. Wow. I mean, I guess if I would have been in a bigger gear, it would have been harder to do that.
Yeah.
But anyways, so not a big issue, but I thought maybe it was costing me some efficiency, probably some chain efficiency I was worried about. But anyways, I just said, like, oh yeah, and the other thing is my power meter must have been off, because it was like, the plan was to go like 230 to 240 watts was our Patrick and I's plan. And I was looking, and I was like, it was showing like 280, 290. Yeah,
so I saw your numbers and I was like, there's no way he did 270 for 5 hours. No, because I was talking to Cheryl. I'm like, listen, he's going to go 230. He knows he can hammer out 230 watts for 5 hours, and he knows he's going to do a 4 hour and 50-minute bike. That's kind of what I said. 450, 455, 230, maybe 235. All is good.
Yeah.
And then I said, because my mom was asking me, do you think he maybe have gone, do you think there's a chance he went too hard and he's going to be wiped out for the marathon? I said, 0% chance. I said, Charlie has mapped this out. He knows his wattage. He knows what he can output for 5 hours. And maybe the last 5K, he'll go a little hard just because he's excited, but he's not going to kill himself for the run. Was I wrong or was I right?
You were partially wrong. So I really wanted to do sub 5.
That mattered to you?
that mattered for some reason, because I wanted to. Knew I needed sub 5 to have a chance, to have a good chance for 10 hours, right?
Yeah. Okay, but wait,
So
let's break it down again real quick. 54 minutes on the swim, 8 minutes on the transition. You're at an hour 2. So if you
yeah,
did 5 hours plus the transition, that leaves you at like 350 potentially for
yeah,
the marathon. So that's what you were thinking. Like, I need to leave myself at least 350 for the
yeah,
marathon.
yeah, exactly. So, and I felt like I was working a lot harder than I was in my training run that I did 4:45. So I feel like I worked hard for that I worked really hard for that 4:55, harder than I wanted to slightly. But we'll go like, so the first loop, I was just trying to keep my heart rate under 145.
So 2 loops of so basically it's there, back, there, back. So it's 27 miles there, 27 miles
28,
back.
it was 28 miles,
28
28
miles.
miles per. And so I was like, okay, for the first loop, keep it under 145. And then on the second loop, I was like, okay, I'm okay with going up to 150 now. But I stayed pretty steady. I think my second loop would have actually been faster than my first loop. Oh yeah, I haven't gone through a bunch of things here, but had there not been mechanical issues, my second loop would have been faster.
Okay, so your first loop took 2 hours and 27.
Yeah.
And there was a mechanical issue on the second loop or the first loop?
On the second loop.
Yeah, because you ended up doing exactly the same time, 2:27:30 and 2:27.
Yeah, my second loop would have been faster. So, and the second loop was under tougher conditions. So, what happened was that Babel Slough, I was passing people, feeling really comfortable on my bike, feeling like I knew how to bike.
On the second loop, on the way in, out.
On the first loop, I'll go through the first loop, and then, but the first loop, the story of the first loop was just getting through traffic. Sometimes it would get blocked; it would get 5 wide. People are just blocking. And one time I went and there was 6 wide. So I'm like, okay, but I need to pass. Like, they're going too slow. So I just hammered it into the oncoming traffic lane. And my chain slipped again.
And there's a car coming?
No, not a car. But I swore in French. And
to them.
To my chain, because I thought my chain was broken or something. I was worried. Yeah, that's what I said. And then the guys all looked at me and like, ooh.
And they're probably like, oh shit, he's probably
mad at me. Yeah, but it was just my chain. So, anyways,
people got mad at me. Quick interruption, but people got mad at me at the Worlds all the time. It was such a narrow turn, many turn course, and so many turns, and I was just doing my ride at my pace, and left, come on. And then as they'd pass, stay out of the way. I got some of those a few times. I was like, okay, dude, like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm trying to not be in your way. I'm like left here, right here. Like, I'm not constantly thinking, where's this guy coming from behind me?
No, I felt like I was lucky because I passed
hundreds of people.
I don't know how many, but the whole time I was like, there was one guy who passed me. I'm like, I kind of wanted to follow him for a bit because he was just going slightly faster than me.
So I want to ask you about
only
drafting.
One.
So the drafting, there's no drafting for those that don't know, so you can't follow. But I imagine on a narrow course, it was like at the Triathlon World, you're just kind of always following people, right?
Yeah, but it didn't help me much because
you're always passing. Like, you get
they're
a little
going
bit
like I pretty much have to stop pedaling.
Yeah.
And that did happen a couple times. So that's the other part I wanted to get into. The last portion of the course, so that you go up a bridge, that's a really slow portion, up a bridge, you go left, and then that's where we talked about the course is extremely narrow. So the first
3 miles or something, right at the end.
So the first loop, there was so much traffic, I actually lost spots relative to my position because they probably did it 30 minutes before and they didn't have nearly as much traffic as I had. And I stopped pedaling a bunch of times for that section. And I
noticed that you had a slower time on the way out on the lap because they had a timing chip right at 25 miles. There was another one at 28. So I noticed that you were a little slower.
yeah, so I was slow because of traffic mostly. Um, and then I think in there also what affected my splits sometimes is if I added a bottle change or a pee, like the peas would cost me a bit of time because I have to stop pedaling. And
But you're just you're pulling a Rob Tatro. You're peeing on your
yeah, I
bike.
did about 4 or 5.
Good for you,
Yeah.
son. Yes, you did it. You
Yeah,
did
I
it.
did a bunch. I tried to time him when I wasn't before turns and stuff, so it's not
Yeah.
losing too much time. But yeah, the traffic, and in a second loop, then slowly the traffic got less and less bad. But regardless, I was passing people right to the very end of my bike split. So second loop starts. I finished my first loop in
227.
220, 227. So I'm like, okay, I'm under 5. It was still somewhat disappointed because I felt like I was working pretty hard to get a 227. I was in my mind, I thought I could get 445 without working hard. So I worked pretty hard for a 227.
Yeah, which is
Uh,
it's 4 minutes slower than a split for a 245.
yeah. So I was a little disappointed in my time, but I was like, whatever, I can still do 10 hours. It's fine. So I kept going, and then I was having a really, I think I picked up my pace actually in the second loop. I was feeling like it was almost done. Um, Then I hit Babel Slough, and Babel Slough is very, very bumpy and gravelly, and I was just hitting bumps and bumps, and at some point I don't know what happened. The timing of a bump and when I was pedaling, my chain fell off. So not a big deal. I had to
Stop,
stop,
put the chain
put
on,
my
go again.
chain, and I was actually, my dad asked me like, how did you feel? I was like, I actually didn't feel terrible because I was like, okay, the chain's not broken. I can keep going.
Do you think
It's not a flat. I can keep going. Not a big
like
deal.
that's perspective, right? That's not I'll say that the like that's impressive, the perspective that you had. Do you think it's because you've done so many races? Do you think it's because you've like because it's a it's pretty good perspective for you to have at that point. It would be very
Yeah, I
easy.
wasn't even mad, honestly. Like it was like, oh,
Like
um,
the old Charlie, I'll put it that way, maybe would have probably gotten mad and snapped, and it's unfair that this is happening to me, right? But now you have perspective. You've done enough of these. Clothes got cancer. I don't know, whatever. You're
I
like,
don't. I think it's just doing a lot of triathlons, and you learn that things go wrong,
yeah,
and
and you see people on the side of the road fixing
there's
their
worse
tire.
things that could happen, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal. It was like, I get a 2-minute rest. I probably did it in like a minute. I don't know how much. You're panicking, and I'm not the like. Yeah, and barely any room on the side of the road. There's like
yeah,
no room, and I'm trying to put my chain back on, and finally I get it on. No big deal. Start, and I passed about 40 people that I had just passed again. I would say, yeah, probably around 40 people that I repassed, uh, which is okay. And then the wind got pretty strong there on the second loop.
yeah. You had it in your face on the way down, and then in your back on the way back.
Yeah, and I was like, some spots I was like 30 kilometers an hour, 31. I was like, ooh, wow, that's gonna be rough. But then I kept thinking I get it on the way back. And
Yeah.
on the way back, I was doing a lot of 45,
Yeah,
43,
so
45.
we were thinking like Simo and I were thinking, it kind of sucks that he started an hour late because the wind was just at the tail end of the bike, right? Just at the tail end. So those guys didn't get that.
Yeah,
So
but my last hour I had a
was downwind.
was a stronger wind too.
Yeah. So we debated
So
that
I don't
exact
know
point.
if it was good or bad. I think maybe it was good.
Yeah.
So the only thing, and actually there was way less traffic, so I was just hammering that whole back loop. I would imagine I did pretty well. The only thing is, yeah, there was quite a few P's in there in that last loop. So besides those, and yeah, and then at the end, I made sure I peed before getting off the bike because I didn't want
Yeah.
to
Good
waste to
call.
stop running. And I did the old
Rob Tatro
triathlon
special.
triathlon move where I took my shoes off on the bike
Oh,
before
look at you.
dismounted, and I almost got it, almost nailed it. I did have my left shoe just stayed on as I dismounted because it's got the loose clip, but no big deal. I just took it off and then I ran through transition.
Nice.
With carrying the shoe, and the other shoe was attached to my bike, and so
I find that transitions when I'm wearing no shoes are easier.
yeah, it's way faster to run without
No,
shoes.
I'm making a joke because I did the barefoot
Yeah. Sorry,
Anyways.
it's way faster to run without bike shoes, I'm gonna say.
Oh, way faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Click,
So
click, click, and you're trying to, bike shoes
So
are
I had a
terrible.
really good T2 again. I wasn't really rushing T2, but I wanted to make
That's
sure
an unbelievable T2, 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Like,
there's some guys at 150 or something, but whatever.
I know, but a lot of guys did 7 and 8s, 6 and
Yeah.
You want to do 15 minutes on the 2 transitions, you came in at 12.
Yeah, so I gained 3 minutes in transition, which was awesome, to my goal. So then I felt not bad on after getting off the bike and starting to run. And
Okay, so wait. So when this was a common topic of discussion in my chat is like, how is he going to be able, what's he going to be able to run? Does he know, like, what do you think he'll do on the run? And all I could tell people is, listen, I've done 4 of these and there's no way, tell me if you think I'm wrong. There's no way going into the run that you know what you're going to be able to do, right? Because it's so foreign. You've done this once, you've done a lot of brick runs. You think you're probably able to do a 340, 350, maybe 330 if things go well, and probably not worse than 415, but you really don't know until you're actually on those shoes and you're actually running, right?
yeah, I would imagine the more of these you do, the more you would know.
The more you feel. But like it when we go run a marathon, you're like, I feel like I'm close to 3 o'clock. Maybe it'll be 302, 303 at Boston. Boom, you're right on that time, right?
Honestly, like in my head, there was a whole range of possibilities from miracle 320 to like 5 hours. That whole gamut was in play,
And
like,
that's impossible for anyone unless you've done this, unless you've done an Ironman. Like, what do you mean 5 hours, Charlie, to do 5 hours in a marathon? Yeah, I did it in Des Moines, right? It took me 5 hours and 18 minutes in Des Moines, and I did a 340 whatever, and like I didn't think I was that better that day, but it's just that one day is it's so tough to know how your body's going to react.
Yeah.
So you were secretly hoping, man, maybe there's a chance I could do a 320 here, right?
No, I mean,
it was on the board though. It was on the board.
I'm saying it was on the board, but
yeah,
I didn't really think it was like 340 was kind of like, if things go well, and maybe I can do a 340,
Yeah. Honestly, in my head, I'm like, he's going to do a 345, 345, 350. That's what I thought.
Yeah, it was pretty close to that.
That's unreal.
Yeah. So I start the run, and I guess the hardest part, everyone's running so fast
because they don't know.
Starting the run, and I was like, man, these guys are all faster than me, I guess. And it's just having that discipline to not go. I went too fast. The first 6 miles, I went too fast.
But I mean, okay, yes, you went.
I went faster than what my plan. My plan was like, in my head, I was like, okay, I'll do like 9:15s to start.
That's what I was hoping. I was hoping I'd see 9:15s in your first 6 miles.
No, instead it was like 8s.
I think I said in the chat, like, the worst thing you could do here is come out with a 740 or like or whatever. I said start with a bunch of 9s, get those 9s under your belt.
That's what I should have done, but it's so hard to be disciplined. Everyone's running way faster than you. I was doing 8s and everyone was running faster than me.
I was like, just shorten the race and then give yourself a half marathon or maybe a 10 miler at the end. And then you could still do a 340 if you just shorten the race, or a 350, but you're going to have a way better day, more enjoyable day. Yeah. And you're almost guaranteeing that you'll break 10.
I think if I would have done 9s for the first 6 miles, I would have probably had a 5 minute. I don't know. I would have had a better marathon time for sure if I had done 9s instead of 8s.
Yeah. Mom, at 3:59 p.m. I am going to say that he should start slower than you think and keep some for the last 6 miles. those first 6 miles look fast. I said, hopefully he listens to his own podcast.
Yeah. No, the whole time I was like, I need to slow down. The only monologue that was going through my voice the first 6 miles was slow down, slow down, slow down. Like that's the only thing I was, but it was so hard. I don't know why I couldn't slow down. Like I wanted to, but it was
I said deep down, I think he secretly wants to do a 3:35 or a 3:40, but that's so fast after what he just went through. And that's what I was saying. I said deep down, I think he wants to.
I wasn't even thinking about my time at that place. I was just running, and it was like,
yeah,
I was seeing other people that I like. I'm a better runner than this guy, like, and they were going faster than me, and so it's all about discipline. I had a hard time. I wanted to go slower, but I couldn't for some reason.
Yeah, at the end, you don't know why, but it's just, why am I not going faster than this? Right?
Yeah.
No,
I mean at the beginning,
at the beginning, okay.
I wanted to go slower the whole time. I was thinking, I'm going too fast. I'm going too fast. I'm going too fast. I kept saying that to myself, and yet I couldn't slow down. Anyways, so I guess that was a good sign for how much endurance I did have for that day. But as it turned out, had I gone maybe a mile slower for the first 6 miles, I think my marathon time would have been a lot better.
Yeah, and you would have had a slightly better day too, probably more enjoyable.
Probably, yeah. Enjoyable, yes. I wouldn't call it enjoyable, but we'll see. So then first 6 miles too fast. Mile 6 to 9. So I was breaking my run into 3-mile segments. Okay. Because every 3 miles I was getting nutrition. I was taking a gel, and I kind of wanted to just break it up in those 3 miles. It seemed like manageable sections for me. And one of the things was pretty hot. So I think our coach and I had quite a bit of a conversation and planning around how to stay cool and hydrate and electrolytes. So I think what I did was I took a lot of time in transition at all the aid stations. I made sure I was like, the only thing that matters is that you keep going, right? And the only thing that what helps you keep going, it's not a 3-hour marathon where you just want to go fast, right? It's about just keeping the bodily functions working, right? And so I made sure I got ice, lots of ice at even the first aid station. Oh yeah, I forgot. I drank 3 glasses of water in T2 as part of my transition because I was a little low from the bike. So that was actually, so pretty fast transition considering I drank like 3 glasses of water in there.
How did you know you were low from the bike?
I just
felt it.
No, I was just guessing. I don't know.
Like you were kind of counting the hours and the
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was guessing.
What were you targeting per hour of water, of liquid? On the
1 bottle per hour. I was trying
1 bottle per hour, and you were doing how many grams of carbs per hour?
I did 600 grams of carbs on the bike.
Yeah, 100. That's more than
120.
120.
Yeah.
Wow. So and you did them all in scratch?
Yeah, all in scratch. Yeah.
So maybe just explain that real quick.
Well, scratch is like an endurance formula that you put into water. You mix with water, yeah. And
so you had a dense version in 2 of your bottles, right? Probably.
No, I had 2. I had 1 in my front bottle to start, had 150 grams. I had another bottle that had 150 grams at the back.
Yeah.
And then I had another bottle that had 300 grams.
Okay. So you would add water to that front one. You knew you needed to drink that about in an hour and a half-ish. And then you would just keep adding and diluting. You'd pick up water bottles, add and dilute.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I struggled with those water bottles. They were like they would just crumple up. Like I had a hard time it worked out, but not a problem. But it was harder than I thought.
So you basically just drank and ate straight sugar for 5 hours, and that's what I did too. Scratch it
for 5 hours. Yeah. So I figured,
how was your stomach at the end of that?
Oh, my stomach was actually fine.
Yeah, you had no problem transitioning to gels, right?
No problem. I mean, I'd say maybe mile 20 is when I could
You're like, I've
start
had enough gels.
I could start feeling that it was so what would happen is I would have a gel and then I'd feel my stomach for a while and then I'd drink a bit of water the next few and then it just would settle down. So it wasn't actually my stomach was way I ate way more nutrition in 10 hours than I did in 12 hours at Texas. So nutrition is so important for doing it. Like you just eat lots, whatever. You can't eat too much.
Unless your stomach can't handle it. But like,
Yeah, unless you're but like if you can handle it, the more the better.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I was really focused on those aid stations on the run, making sure I get everything I needed. Miles 1 to 6, like I said, I went too fast. Miles 6 to 9, it started getting hard, and I was like, okay, well, go back to your 8. I was thinking just keep doing 8:30s at that point, 8:30 miles. I was like, if I can do 8:30s all the way to the end, I'll have a great time. So I was like, still feeling good. And then 9 to 12, the 8:30s started getting hard. So I was like, okay, 8:40s till the end. I'll have a great time if I just do 8:40s till the end. And then I kind of maintained that, I think.
Yeah, you held that.
Like, I mean, the app wasn't accurate. Like, I mean,
I know because there was a section that was longer.
I was way more consistent than what the app said. Like
I could tell because I would look at the other guys and they'd be doing 7-minute miles for a stretch and then 9 for another stretch. And I'm like, okay, that's not accurate. That's 8.
Yeah. I was very according to if you look at like my Strava, like it's a lot more. I mean, I'm slowly slowing down, but it was pretty consistent. The only time where it wouldn't be consistent was I actually stopped 3 times to pee in the porta potties, which was fine. I wanted to make sure I had enough hydration. I was like, it's worth stopping 20 seconds, 30 seconds to pee 3 times. So I peed 3 times on my run in the porta potties.
You're not trying to break 3 hours, right? So
so
plus you get the heart rate to come down a bit.
It's a bit of a rest that I need anyways, right? So, but even with the P's till about mile 18, I was still like holding on to like 8:40s all the way, average under 8:40s, and then 18 to 21. Sorry, it started getting hard just before 18. I would say, like really hard. And then 18 to 21, it was just a mental battle. I'm like, can I even keep, like, am I going to have to walk if I keep, like, you have these demons pop up in your head, right?
Did you? Okay. So obviously you had the doubts if you'd be able to finish. And then you probably had real doubts about breaking 10, like real doubts. Like, I don't know.
Oh, I had real doubts about breaking 10 the whole time. I was in my math. I didn't know I had done so good on the transitions.
Oh, you were saying 15 minutes or whatever.
So that's 3 minutes that I gained. And I had a hard time figuring out what my marathon time was. I don't know why my brain doesn't work anymore. Like,
so one trick, and next time you do an Ironman, anyone who's listening to this, when you're about to get in the water, ask someone for the exact time.
I knew the exact time. I knew I'd gotten in the water around 7:55, close to there. So I knew that. So I was like, but my watch was dying, so I didn't want to switch.
Yeah, but you can always ask someone, what time is it?
I should have just asked someone what time.
I was asking people, what time is it right now? And
that's what I should have done. Because I was having such a hard time with the math.
Because your brain is just not working.
I had no clue what my marathon time was.
And Charlie is the absolute best human being on the planet that I know with math. So like, if you're having a hard time, like,
so it was like I F the math and just go with the heart.
Head down and go.
Just go with the heart, and 9-minute miles till the end, and I'm gonna break 10. That's basically what I told myself at around 18. And then I kind of got a second wind at 21. I started feeling a little bit better. I saw Jean-Luc Perron's dad.
Okay.
The other Manitoban that did the same Ironman.
How did he do? I don't even know how he did.
Yeah, he did pretty well. 10:20, somewhere around there.
I didn't even follow him.
Yeah, so he finished his swim 45 minutes before me. at some point I passed him.
Right.
Anyways, I'd say it's a pretty good Ironman for your first time. I know
Oh my God, it's
he's a
unbelievable.
really good runner, so I'm not. I think he might be disappointed a little bit with his run time, but either way, it's a really good Ironman for him. Anyways, so his dad saw me, and at mile 21, he like, or mile, no, this is like mile 19. He like yelled, "Hey, Charlie, you're crushing it from Winnipeg," and that kind of gave me a bit of a boost. I was like, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm
I am
crushing.
crushing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I kept going, and then Cheryl, my wife, was there, and
She kept sending us videos.
yeah, so she kept encouraging me. That helped. She said, like, think about your goals, because I had told her, like, I really want to do this 10-hour. So she gave me that. That's when it was really hard. Like my miles, it's all about digging deep. Miles 18 to 24, right? Mile 20.
So wait, so before that, we were talking about these miles, and my parents are asking me, "How does he feel right now?" And I just kept thinking, like, these till 24, like it was like mile 19 or whatever. I was like, there's nobody. You're in a dark place, and it's you, and this is, and I just all I could type was, "Oh, I feel so much pain for him. I'm feeling the pain for you from Winnipeg, because I know you can't escape it. The demons are there. You're battling, you're trying to get through. You can't move your feet. You just can't think of anything that'll get you through." And then at 24, for me, historically, it gets better. So I was just thinking, like, these 4 miles, I was just like, thank God I'm sitting on my couch in Winnipeg and I don't have to do them, because that's gonna be
Yeah. So it wasn't exactly like that for me. I think I had some tough miles, like 15 to 18 to 20 around there. And then I got a couple better miles at 20 for some reason, where all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I can do this. And then my right hamstring started borderline cramping at mile 20, during mile 22. So I just realized, I just told myself, okay, that's fine. Just slow down a little bit and it'll go away. So I slowed down a bit. Then I started feeling a bit better from slowing down, obviously. And then I got to 24, and then that's, for some reason, like, it's a little different than you. Like, for me at 24, that's when it got really hard for some reason.
But you know you're gonna get there now. 20 sub 10s in the bag now. You had 10 minutes to spare. Like, you could do 15-minute miles.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't
You
thinking
could
about it
walk.
that way. I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't sure how much room I
Yeah,
had.
fair enough.
But
Fair enough.
apparently I had lots of room. Like, I could have done 15-minute miles and I probably would have done it, right? But in my head, it was just like, I did not want to walk, right? I did walk through some of the aid stations, like a little bit, but it was just like, I had this thing in my head where I wanted to finish the Ironman without walking, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to finish like the last 2 miles. I wanted to keep doing 9-minute miles at the end. And at the end, my watch wasn't working. Like, I guess the low battery and all the buildings and stuff, I wasn't even getting, it was telling me like, I wasn't even getting feedback from my watch. So I was just like going by feel.
Yeah.
And
But you're still moving. You're still moving.
I was still moving half decent. I didn't see mile 23 marker. I didn't see mile 24 marker.
Oh, and you're like, I know I've passed them.
I
For
didn't
sure
see
passed them.
mile 25 marker. But I knew, like, because I was on a lap, like I was hitting the button every 3 miles. I knew like I had passed them, but it was like,
Plus,
I didn't see.
you knew, like, the end. I looked at the map. The end is right next to the start, and you know you're close by there, right?
Yeah, I knew the course, but I knew I was coming up, and I knew there was like, okay, there's one out and back, and then there's another out and back,
Yeah,
and I
it's
knew that
all
was
out
all.
and backs.
I knew that was all coming, and it was really, really hard. That mile 24 to 25 for some reason was like, and even the beginning of 25, like I felt kind of sick, ill a little bit. Like I was like, am I like, should I be slowing down? Or I felt kind of sick. Anyways, I just kept going. Once I got close to the finish line, all of a sudden started feeling better. And then
When you had 9.5 miles left, you crossed a checkpoint. I looked, I did the math. You could do 10-minute miles at that point.
yeah, I didn't know that.
No, I'm just saying. So I said in the group, I'm like, it looks really good for sub 10-minute miles. I think he can do that, even if he falters, because we didn't know how you're feeling.
Well, some guys like all of a sudden started doing 13-minute miles.
Yeah, no, and that happens. That happens all the time at Ironman. This isn't easy. Like, it happens.
And I knew that was a possibility. That's why I didn't want to stop.
It was a very real possibility.
That's why I didn't want to stop running at all, because I was like, the only way that happens is if I stop running, right?
Yeah. And Cheryl sent us a video of you, and I said, "What mile is that?" And she's like, "Oh, it's 22, I think, or 23 or whatever," when you saw her. And she's like, "He's not smiling." And then Claude said, "Doesn't matter. He's moving." Like, you're moving still. You're still moving. Like, you were jogging. Like, he's still jogging at mile 23. And I saw that video. I'm like, let's go.
I had a lot of determination in that video.
Yeah, the one before, you were kind of like smiling and cheering a little bit more, like 18 or 17 or something, the video before. But that one, she was like,
I think that was when I had like a bit of a resurgence there. That one that she had at 17 or 18 there. But yeah.
Yeah, and then she was like, "What do I tell him? What do I say to him?" I was like, "Yeah."
Oh yeah, you said 20 seconds of courage. That did help, actually. That was like my darkest moment right before she said that. Like, that was when I was struggling the most, and she said that, so that really helped, actually.
I was thinking, like, man, what would I want to hear if I was running right now? I don't know why I'm crying, and I didn't even run the race.
Yeah, and I said that like another 10 times. Before the end of the race, I was like,
Tyler Mislachuk, buddy, we owe you. We love you. You're a freaking legend, and we love you. And you carried me through a few tough ones, and you carried Charlie here through a tough one. I saw that video, and I was like, he's moving. Yes, you were still running. I was like, he's running. He's gonna be fine.
Well, I think I finished actually pretty strong. Like,
you did.
My last mile was like under 9, I think, and I think I only had like a 3-minute positive, which is amazing for an Ironman, I think. So I think I was like 152 and 155, which is good.
Yeah, so that's probably among the absolute best there at Ironman, because you just don't know. Even the guys who led the field and the guys who won your age group, or like, they don't. I saw their splits, and they're like you. It's, well, a little slower sometimes and faster others, and all of the splits weren't accurate, I guess. But it's not easy to know, because you can't just go and you can't just run 10 of these a year and to get good at them, right? You can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you're Dwayne Wheeler, but
Dwayne, he was chatting with me too while you were running. He's by the way, he's signed up for Chicago.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I can't wait. Oh, I got my official acceptance.
You signed up official? Okay, because I was signing up today, and I was like, I better wait. I better wait till, because I didn't even know that my Chicago Marathon was a Boston qualifier till someone mentioned that to me like a week after the fact. I was like, that's right, I qualified for Boston, because in my mind it was like not qualifying for Boston, but it was good enough to qualify for Chicago also. So I used it to qualify for Chicago. So I want to ask you about the last mile or mile and a half, or how was that? Like, how did you feel?
Well, I'm gonna say that the last 3 miles were the hardest 3 miles I've ever run. But getting to the end and then running up, and the girl, the announcer, saying he's from Canada and he likes to exercise, just made me laugh. And even though I was, anyways, and then I got to the finish and I was not feeling good after, but physically I was feeling good mentally, but physically it was hard. But everyone was like that too. So anyways, and I did my sub 10, so it was good.
I want to share that video. I'm going to show it right now. If I can figure this out, I'm sure I can. Is the sound going to play? Hopefully it does.
I don't know. Probably not. Okay, well, that's embarrassing, but whatever.
What do you mean it's embarrassing? He likes to exercise. Charles Stacho from Canada. You are an Ironman.
Yeah.
I don't think it's embarrassing at all, man. You did it.
I was laughing. I was like, how does she know I like to exercise?
What's the story? How did she know?
I
Maybe
mean,
because you completed an Ironman?
if you complete an Ironman, you kind of have to like to exercise, maybe.
So is she just making stuff up as people come? He
I
likes
don't
to
know.
sleep
It's
on his
possible.
grandmother's quilt.
It's possible when I registered, I put something like I like to exercise.
That's what I said. I told
I
Cheryl.
don't remember, but it's possible.
Loves a chicken parm before the race. Charles Stacho.
Yeah.
So how do you feel now that this compare to the other races that you've done?
I don't know. This is up there. This one was up there because it was just so hard at the end and so much work put into it.
And such a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
Wait, let's talk about after. Sorry. Let's talk about after. So you had a goal of qualifying for Worlds. I said he's going to qualify for Worlds. A little bit of pressure on you there. No big deal. There were 8 spots in your age category. How did the morning go when you showed up?
Well, yeah. So they did all the.
How does it work again? Go over.
Yeah. So first they did all the awards top 5, and I was like kicking
the next
myself.
day. The next day.
Yeah, the next day. And I was kicking myself because I was like only like 4 minutes away. So I was like, that stupid chain cost me the top 5. Not that that matters that much for my age group. But
so quick side story too. When there was 4 miles left, they had all finished. Everyone.
Yeah, I know, because everyone started 40 minutes before me.
I looked at your time and I said, if he can run 8:20s, I think you had to do, or 8:10s
for the last 5 miles,
you will pass. You will finish 5th. You'll be on the podium. And I was like, it's likely not going to happen, I said, but that's what he needs to do. And anyways, so that's how close you were to podium, like the Ironman podium. Anyways, so you were so close.
Yeah. So I was close. And then they go and then they do that for all the age categories. They announce the top 5 trophies and pictures and all that. Then I was happy they did the males in reverse order for the roll down. And then they go one category at a time and they announce how many slots there are. So I didn't know how many slots there would be. And then they get to the 45 to 49. They announce
but you knew that there were 65 slots.
I knew there was 65, but it's like prorated depending on how many people. It's
distribution, right? How many people? Yeah. So last year it was like 7, I think. So like it's going to be around there, right? 7 to 9, I think, is kind of the wheelhouse.
So they announced the 50 to 54, and there's 10 slots. And then, so I'm like, oh, okay, there's a good chance I'll get in. Then they announced the 45 to 49, and there's 8 slots, and I'm 9th. So I'm 1 spot out. And I'm still like, okay, I'll get it for sure. Like they're announcing the names, and like the first 3 all accept. And then the 4th didn't accept. So I was like,
and you're like, I'm in. Yeah. Well, I told the story when I was at Worlds and the women in Kona, and they were like 14 spots or something, and she was in 15th place. And she didn't get it. And I was just like so heartbroken for her, the woman next to me. Anyways, yes, some people don't get in by 1 spot. Yeah. So you got your spot, you got your little certificate.
Yeah.
You went up, you paid for it.
Yeah.
$1,200 US or whatever it is. $2,000.
Pretty close.
I think it's $2,000, isn't it?
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the coolest thing ever. It's the coolest thing ever. You're going to Nice. You're going to World. So you got your spot.
I have to learn how to swim, and I have to learn how to bike downhill.
You don't have to learn how to swim. You just crush the swim. Yeah. That swim is tough, but the other good news, great news, is someone you know ran that course already. So give you the insights. Didn't do a great job at it, but did it. Okay, so you qualified for World Championships. If I were to ask you to compare this to, well, I don't know, I feel like the LA one is probably the most satisfying race you've done. Maybe it's your Boston Marathon when you did 3:03. I don't know. Or New York, you did 3:03?
Boston, I did 3:03. Yeah.
So how does this compare to that?
Oh, I think this
it's tough to do right after the fact, recency bias.
I think this might be the top one, but it's different, but it's not easy to do sub 5 bike and a decent marathon. And yeah, no, this was a lot of work. So it's definitely in my top 5 of all time moments. Yeah.
And when you think about, you mentioned this on a podcast or maybe it was on a run, you said, I never thought I'd ever be able to do an Ironman, like to complete an Ironman, to like, that was something that we read about in the books,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That was something other crazy people did.
Crazy people did Ironman. They didn't, like, we didn't do Ironman. And now here you are, the absolute best of the best, 9th in your age category. You're going to the World Championships. How does that make you feel? You've come a long way.
I mean, it's all about the journey. So it's kind of like the sad that the journey is ending, but at the same time, let's go crush that 100-miler.
Yeah. So about that 100-miler, Simo and I, have you talked to Simo?
We had a couple texts.
Okay, so we're gonna go do the Ontario, either this weekend or next weekend. We'd love for you to come. I know you're recovering, so it's 65K. It'll be like a 10-hour day or 8 or 12 or something like that. We're going to go on the Sunday.
I think it's longer than that. I think
No. So Joel did it in 11 hours when he wasn't in shape. Patrick told me we can probably do it in 9 or 10. The record is 7:20.
Okay.
The average time on all trails is 15, the average time.
Okay.
So let's say 10 to 12, somewhere in there to be conservative. But you're hiking.
We got to carry stuff.
No, just like those are all details. Do you want to come is my question.
I'll see what I have in the calendar, but yes, I would like to. I would like to go.
So we're going to do something like drop the car off and maybe park the RV and then get some sleep and then go out bright and early kind of thing, or stay at a hotel at Falcon Lake or something. Anyways, we'll figure it out, but it's good. It's good to know that you're in. Because the 100-miler is coming up. So I ran 3 hours. I ran with Simo for 3 hours on Sunday, just shoot the shizzle. But actually, we had 7 guys in Sunday Run Club. So Grant and Marty,
nice. Awesome.
Yeah, they came. We talked about your race a ton. We were following it. Obviously, it was early because you had just kind of started. Is there anything you do differently in preparation now that you've raced it?
Test my chain before I don't know if it's a chain issue or it was just during travel. During travel, something happened. I think there's definitely my bike was at 98%, not 100%. So
that would have made a couple minutes difference for sure. And what was the biggest improvement? I want you to talk briefly about the improvements. I know it's a long episode here, but I think it's important. Talk briefly, real quick, the improvements that you made in the last training session to dramatically improve your bike time from a 6-hour biker to a 4:55 or a 5:50. Trim an hour off a bike, which is like almost impossible to do. So
I think the engine's stronger for sure. Like I can hold, watts I can hold the same amount of watts at a way lower heart rate. I think
more miles on the bike, stronger engine. You've done some tempos. You've pushed some paces. You've done all the bike workouts.
Just the aerodynamics of it. So I got a better position, better tires, better wheels, better shoes, better clothes, better shoes. Like tight clothes. Yeah, there's so many things. Yeah. So, but generally speaking, aerodynamics and rolling resistance improvements.
Nice. Okay, so next on your calendar, we have the 100.
But also, like my marathon was 45 minutes faster too.
Yeah,
that I'm proud of more than anything, I think.
Yeah, I was very, very, very proud of my marathon time after. For some reason, people might not get that, but it is hard to do a 3:45 after being on the bike all day and swimming all day.
Yeah, it was plus 25. Like it wasn't super easy conditions. I mean, so yeah, super proud of the marathon.
Yeah, I would be. Has this Ironman inspired you, or did you, on that long time you had by yourself, did you think of what are you going to do for Nice? You're going to treat it as an A race?
I don't know if I want to treat it as an A race. Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll have time to talk about it.
Because Ironmans are pretty hard.
Ironmans are really hard. Let's go with that. Marathons are hard. Ironmans are really hard, especially if you do them the way you did them. Anything else you want to add, Charlie?
No.
Okay. Well, congrats. I'm proud.
Well, and thank you so, like, I got so much support. Well, my wife was just the
She's
most
awesome.
important, the most important thing. Like, I don't know how I would, yeah, anyways, just so much support from everyone. My parent, like, getting messages and like random people on Strava sending me messages like good luck tomorrow, things like that. Like, it was, the support was amazing.
The community's cool, and I didn't get it. And you used to say, why aren't you on Strava? I remember you used to say that to me. And I was like, Strava, that's for losers. And I didn't get it, that's how you meet people and create real bonds and real relationships with people. Then you can share and you can encourage. And like, I love seeing, I don't know, Tristan Da Silva crush a 256 marathon or sorry, a 236 marathon, or Bob Cox, or all these people that we've met that were, or anyone that we know that's running, we can encourage. Grains and Zhuzh and Uncle Mo, and we could see them and encourage them. So I didn't get it, and I fully get it now. It was like living vicariously through you for anyone who follows the podcast, and they want to follow your training. They want to follow your race because they care. So
Yeah,
I don't know what I'd do without this running community. Like, I met Simo through this running community, and like, he's like a buddy now. Like, it's anyways. So I hear you. So
yeah,
you were saying thank you, and I agree with that. We love you guys. The Running Journey podcast hosts, love you guys, and thank you for the support. Next episode, we could talk about Grains' training plan, perhaps.
Yeah, we should dissect that, and
yeah, that could be an episode. Just bring him on and dissect it. We also got Riley Dudar, who reached out, who said he wants to be on. I'm trying, and we're probably going to get Tristan Da Silva on, because Brian Brand was like, you need to get Tristan Da Silva on. So anyways, there's a lot of bodies, human beings that we want to bring on the show. It's an exciting time. 100 miler is 5 weeks away for Charlie and I. And then today I was booking the flights for Cape Town. So like, we're going to Cape Town in late January to do 7 marathons, 7 days, 7 continents. That is not a typo. That is real. Charlie and I are going to do that. And we're both going to try to do sub 3 at all 7 marathons.
Sub 4.
Imagine doing sub 3, all that travel, every marathon. Oh, some guys do it. Some guys.
I mean, yeah. If you can run a 2:15,
yeah,
then maybe you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll hammer that out more. But that's coming in January, and then there's Boston, there's London, there's a ton of stuff coming up on the calendar that's going to be really exciting. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Bit of a long episode, Charlie. Congrats! So proud of you. You did it. 9th in your age category, 9 hours, 49 minutes. That's a time that is going to be the family belt. Nobody could beat that. So, unless I do it barefoot. Congratulations, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget the 5-star review. Best accomplishment in the running journey history, Charles Tejo. Congratulations. You are an Ironman.
And I like to exercise.